Hello folks, wanted to do another video and go through a bunch of Yakut knives that I have in my collection and do some cut testing on them, and also do some comparison, not just across the different makers, the different types of Yakut knives, but also compare them to some of these Nordic Scandinavian type of knives that I have as well, and highlight some differences, some similarities, and hopefully see how they perform as well. So let's take a look. Here's a bunch of these different Scandis, Puko type of knives. Okay, look at them later. And there's the bunch of Yakuts. Okay, all kinds of different ones. Let's start with, so let's begin with this one I really like. I traditionally executed Yakut from Siberia. This one has pretty simple design, very light, nothing fancy about it. The sheath is very well made though, very clean, very nice, good stitching, everything solid. Has this traditional horsehair loop that really adds some character, as you can see. Really nice, really cool. Nicely finished leather. The knife itself, 65G Russian spring steel. Not the best steel, pretty simple, high carbon, very good for stress type situations, very weather, what do you call it? Takes cold really well, very good for using in extreme temperatures like in Siberia in the winter. Has this forged finish on one side, the fuller on the other side, has the lens, the convex shape, convex edge on this side, has the actually slightly convexed on this side as well, which makes it a really nice all-around performer for this particular knife. Pretty thick spine, as you can see. The tip though has that more traditional double-sided tapering. Everything nicely finished, although it's quite simple package. Birch burl handle. This one's nicely oiled, feels good. So that's the typical Yakut. Let's compare it to some Scandinavian Nordic type of knives. So here's one that I have, half wood sheath, kind of Sami type of extreme northern style. Kind of similar, brutal, very simple, forged finish, big grippy handle, very simple. This is crosscut birch, not exactly sure. Very cool pattern, as you can see, nothing fancy about it, very simple. Does have the two-piece, kind of has a bolster type of construction here. You can see a little line over here, as opposed to the most basic Yakut that doesn't have anything, just one slab. Handles, this one's pretty big for a knife. This is about 11 centimeters blade maybe. So this isn't one of the bigger Yakuts, it's a medium size, I would say. I don't have very big hands, so just for clarity. But anyway, you can definitely see some similarities in construction and approach. but at the same time a lot of differences, right? Much bigger handle, bigger blade overall. Scandinavian grind is quite different, down to 0, symmetrical on the 2 sides. Makes it super aggressive cutter, makes this one a bit more versatile, I would say, a bit more gentle, but this is, as you will see in a second, hopefully, a really hard performing tool. The handles on the back, you can see traditional Yakut's not rounded, basically nice and flat. This one has a little finger groove here, right? It's shaped, not just straight. It's interesting that this is a bigger knife, but it actually is lighter. Alright, so let's see. Here I have some relatively dry pine. Let's try cutting some of this and see how it behaves. So here's the thing about the Yakut knife. It slides through and leaves these grooves, right? Doesn't dig in, starts coming back out. It's still aggressive, but it doesn't get stuck in the wood. Take this guy, for example. It wants to stay in there, right? It doesn't slide back out. It breaks. You hear the cracks. So for cutting through, probably just as effective. For cutting off, the Yakut's easier to work with a lot. Let's see what else we got. Here's one I have. This was that's Lindmark, by the way. Here's a Yakut and Scandi knives. Here's his logo. A little different, kind of a morph between a puko and a hunting knife kind of thing. I asked him for an outdoors versatile blade kind of thing. So this one actually is interesting because it's Nordic style, but it's convexed and cuts pretty similar to Yakut. Interesting that you can see the birch is actually pretty similar in these. Right, so Yana made it a little different. You can see the oversized handle, actually super light. The only thing that's probably close to how Yakut feels in the hand. Big handle that keeps going, right? The blade is shorter even than this guy. But they kind of have that same lens on that side at least. And as I said, this one has it on the same side as well. On the other side, sorry. So let's see how this one cuts. Same pine. There you can see the convex edge. It does go in, but a lot easier. And you can start pulling out without cracking it so much. Still not quite the same asymmetry, right, as with the Yakut here. But it's a lot closer. So convex is convex, I guess. Although this is convex on both sides, heavily symmetrically. Okay. There's another look at the logo on the blade. I have to clean these up. Let's see. Let's take a look at a different Yakut. Here's one in super traditional style. Again, you can see the horsehair loop for hanging it up. The belt loop. You can see the oxtail over wood. It's kind of their proprietary secret they won't share with the outside world. Trust me, I've asked. flames being annoying, but you can see the construction on the inside. There's the wood insert in there, keeping the knife safe. These guys don't actually do that well in wet weather. It does fine and cold in the snow, but not so well in the wet weather. And then this one is, you can see the knife is slimmer. So let me compare it to the other guy. It's longer, the blade's thinner, the handle's a lot slimmer. That's a big difference. Elongated shape, not as egg-shaped as this one. Proportions, again, don't have the biggest hands, but you can see how it fits. Very nice. Slightly convex on this side. Pretty flat, maybe a little bit convex on this side. Sometimes it's really hard to tell with these guys. Has that very stylized groove, the fuller. Has some interesting stuff going on top here as well. Some texture. Really cool, really nice knife overall. So let's try the same piece of pine before I destroy it completely. Oof. This one's really good at just slicing on the surface, not nearly as readily buried into the wood, but you can see still works fine. Boom, here we go. Same idea, right? Slides in and evens out and starts sliding through. This one again is very basic construction. Just one piece of birch burl on the handle, nothing else. Super light again. There we go. Okay. Let's compare that to a birch bark finish type of knife. Actually, this one comes from Todor Hristov from Bulgaria. Does amazing work. My latest knife, really great. This is an Elmax blade, so kind of high-techy. Very nice, grippy. You can see he does a pretty flat spine back here for the handle. Actually works really well for putting your thumb on it, like this. Also a bit oversized, so over 10 centimeter, over 4-inch blade. Handle is very generous, about the same size, I guess. Very soft, very nice, great finish. Again, kind of similarities you can see, right? The slimmer, longer, narrower blades. This is your typical rhombic section. It's hard to show it a little bit in this light, but there we go. Okay, let's see how this one does. So on the same piece, flip it around. Interesting that this one actually cuts differently. I guess it's a pretty shallow angle on it. It's not nearly as bitey as this guy was, for example. Actually kind of creates a similar pattern to the Yakuts. This is interesting. I haven't tried cutting wood with this one too much yet. So you can see actually does slide out. The handle helps a lot too. This is really comfortable and really nice. You can see making this kind of cut nice and simple. Different feel, interesting, but similar results. This type of cut is not the most natural on the Yakut knife, but you can kind of do it just one side. Keep digging and digging out. Sorry, hard to keep it in front of the camera. Okay, so that was interesting. What else we got? Here's another very light, very slim, modern Yakut. Not sure about these steel on these blades. It's a high carbon. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's U10, I believe. It's a Russian steel. Don't remember exactly what it's. I don't think it has any equivalents really. This one has a really interesting finish. Wide fuller. A little bit of a clip style blade. You see it on a lot of knives as well from Yakut. Again, same stuff. There's a little bit of a bolster. Nice, smooth, light. Let's try a different piece here. Lighter blade. Let me try this one just to make sure it's apples to apples. It does cut differently. A little heavier on the cut, different geometry. This one feels flat, I would say. So some Yakut knives are actually flat on this side, even though they have the fuller, they're not convexed. And this one doesn't seem like it's convexed. And so cuts very differently. You can still slide it through, but not as easy as this. Or this, which is really perfect surface cutter. This guy is almost too much because it doesn't have the asymmetry to keep it down, so it kind of slides through. And this one wants to bury in a little bit. You have to keep pushing it out. This one really does amazingly well, I gotta say. I wasn't expecting it from such a traditional angular rhombic section here. Really versatile, actually. Wonderful blade. Okay, so let's see. I got another weird piece of wood here. Maybe we can try cutting through some of this. It's a little wet too. The other one's pretty dry. So here's what a Yakut knife does really well at. Taking these big slices off of these pieces of wood. This guy, let's see, worked really well on the surface. Yeah, it wants to stay on the surface more, so good for shaping. This one, also good at making long cuts, really convex, so, or I guess, yeah, convex, yes, on both sides a little bit, but more on this side, so it really likes to slide out. This guy, hard to go past here. You can, but it requires effort. Let's see, this guy really wants to stay on the surface, doesn't want to dig in. And let's try the birch bark. Yeah, this is one thing it's not really good at. Also wants to kind of stay on the surface. Doesn't dig in like this one does, like the flat Scandi. The rhombic section is different, I guess. Angle must be different the way you're cutting, but it doesn't dig in. This one, the flat style Yakut, is the best at just taking a big slice off of it. All right, so here's a different bunch of knives we took a look at. There's plenty more. I'll have some more videos going into some of the other ones I got here. But yeah, some interesting findings there. Hope you guys had fun. Some interesting similarities and differences between these different designs. All hard weather, far north kind of tough winter type of knives. All right, thanks for watching.